And welcome this week's episode of the Fake Racers Podcast. After a week's hiatus, as always, he's Davey Hazard. I'm Joe Twinsky. We're gonna make sure Davey doesn't have to talk too much tonight because he is getting over a head cold. And Davey, why don't you say hello to everyone so they can hear what I'm talking about?
Hello, everyone.
That's
Do
Davey
I
Hazard.
sound normal yet?
Tell us.
What if I try to raise? What if I try?
No,
Yeah, that doesn't work.
you
That
can't
doesn't
even
work.
hear your
It
voice.
doesn't work.
Hey,
It doesn't work.
but it was the biggest weekend in motorsports for the entire year, right? And we want to talk about it. And Davey's got stories, hopefully, that he'll be able to tell, if not this week, in the future. And we're gonna have some fun tonight because we're back home. We're back home again. Back home again. Not in Indiana, but back on
I was gonna
YouTube.
say it.
And
I was gonna say it.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you to give you your best rendition of Back Home Again in Indiana, but I don't think you got the voice for it right now.
Nope. Didn't have the voice for it before either. But
The guy that they had doing it too, I don't, his name slips my mind, but did a really good job. Did a really good job of it.
Would also like to apologize for not being around next week. I'm already apologized to Joe. Apologize to everyone else. Yeah, I don't like being sick. I was excited for last week, and I just could not speak. My voice was not there.
Bad.
And I sent Joe like 2 or 3
He
videos.
sent me a video every day being like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Joe, I can't do it, but this is what my voice sounds like."
I don't wanna burden you with editing, but it'd be pretty funny if you keyed that video in right now.
Alright, I'm driving home. I've tried all day to get my voice back. It's actually worse. And I'm sorry. I'm really trying. If I gotta do this thing over the phone in Charlotte, I will. I'm trying my best, man.
And then laugh about it. Might have to blur out some of the word or beep out some of the words because I'm pretty sure I was like, I can't ever do it.
Or there was the video on Friday when you and Weaver were going up and there was the train and
oh my god,
that was
I
great.
forgot how bad my voice was then too.
And then you got a whole weekend of screaming at races, but again, guys, sorry we missed you last week. There's a lot to talk about with racing in the rain. We'll get to it eventually.
I didn't scream at any race. I stayed my happy little butt quiet the whole weekend at the races.
Sat there in the air conditioning on Friday and out in the hot sun on Sunday.
Yep, got myself a nice tan. That was how we did it.
That's how we did it. That's how we do. What is Charlotte? 314 or 704? 704. Why did I say 314? That's like a Detroit area code. My apologies. Hey, but I got a new Eric Jones hat. That's pretty cool. Made that myself.
He made it.
Davey's got the great USORL and JTN merch, which I think you probably got like a month or so to purchase it. So
heck yeah.
Better get those orders in. You can also check out Davey's merch. We'll talk about more at the end when we're trying to sell you guys stuff if you're still around, because the loyal people probably buy stuff, not the people sitting here for these first 3 minutes just suffering, waiting for us to talk about something relevant. So let's get into that. Let's talk about something relevant. Helio Castroneves wins his 4th Indianapolis 500 on Sunday. This is also Meyershank Racing's first victory in the NTT Data IndyCar series, which was awesome.
Absolutely. So freaking happy for Michael Shank. I don't know how many people are like totally familiar with Michael Shank, but he's wanted to be successful in IndyCar for years. And he's finally getting that opportunity. That car was on rails.
Well,
and I'm so freaking happy for Shank.
And another thing to really talk about is how good Jack Harvey has been this year. He's been in the top 10. He probably should have had another top 5 in the Indy GP, but something strategy. I don't recall correctly because that was almost a month ago now. But they had something go haywire there. So that the 60 car has been really, really good. And obviously they fielded the second entry for Helio this weekend. Qualified really well, qualified in the Fast 9, had the track position to start the race, and got it done. But man, oh man, oh man. So, I got bullets here. I got all kinds of stuff. This race, it's just, we've talked about it, right? We've talked about how this race is just so special. We didn't get to do our little preview last week and kind of really encourage people to tune in and watch. Not that I think anyone would actually listen to us because we're idiots on the internet, but the best part is Davey would usually laugh, but instead he's coughing right now. But
Yep.
So we didn't get to talk about that, but the Indy 500 is just so special. I know, Davey, you haven't had the opportunity to go. I had the opportunity to go in 2016 for the 100th event. I was wearing the hat all weekend, actually, because I was so ready. I was so pumped for this race because this one's truly like no other. You can compare it to the Daytona 500. You can compare it to Monaco. No city, no facility, no series puts as much emphasis, puts as much tradition, grandeur, glory, whatever you want to say, on a single race like IndyCar does with the Indianapolis 500. There was also something special. This year it was kind of emotional too, seeing the stands absolutely packed, which good on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for doing that, and also hey to the officials there in Indy that decided to tell them, oh, you can only have 135,000 people, and not telling them where they had to put those 135,000 people. I think your plan kind of screwed up, but I digress. That's a completely different issue. We're almost out of this pandemic, thank Lord. But the Indy 500 is just so special, right? And NBC did a fantastic job, as they have for the past couple years, of really covering that spectacle. We were going to talk about this, but again, Davey's got no voice for it, so we'll get to it eventually over the summer, because I'm sure it'll come up again. Like, these things always seem to come up every 2 weeks on Twitter. But NBC did such a great job of covering the spectacle of the Indianapolis 500 this year. Obviously, last year didn't have a lot of that because of the pandemic and whatnot, running the race in August. It was just so crazy. Seeing Roger Penske give the command to start engines was awesome. I've always idolized Penske for just all that he's done for motorsports. And it was really cool to see him finally get to have that moment. And I know he'll probably have that moment again next year when they're actually allowed to do everything full capacity, full song and whatnot. But Davey, I don't know if you have anything to add. I know I'm talking a lot tonight. A little bit by design, of course, on cue. But Indy 500 is just so special, right?
No, that was absolutely fantastic. I was in Charlotte still for this, but we all went to William Page, who, if you've watched the US Oral broadcasts, you're familiar with him. Everyone piled up at his house, and we watched the Indianapolis 500 all together. Yeah, it's just special. I mean, you talk about you try and compare it to this race, that race. I don't even think you can do that. Indianapolis. I mean, the Daytona 500. If NASCAR was going away, the Daytona 500 wouldn't save NASCAR. If Formula One was going away, the Monaco Grand Prix would not save Formula One. The Indianapolis 500 has saved IndyCar multiple times. It's been there. It's always been a thing. It will always be there. It'll always have the force behind it, and it will always be the best atmosphere in racing, and in my opinion, one of the best atmospheres in sports in general. And then on top of that, 100+ years of history at this point. The intensity, it's a dangerous race. It's a dangerous racetrack. Excuse me. There's really not much more you can ask for from a race.
Yeah, and speaking of that atmosphere, when we went, we left about midnight from our house, 4.5, 5 hours away from the racetrack to get there in the morning. And we were probably in traffic for 2 hours, just trying to find a place to park. Like, this event, and that's all part of it. When we talk about these racing experiences, there is something, what's the word, romantic about just driving up to a racetrack the morning before one of these events and seeing the people piling into the racetrack. And Indianapolis is it's so unique, right? It's in the middle of the city. It's not in the downtown, but it's the city really grabs onto this race like no other city grabs onto a race. You just see all the people. It's crazy how many people get in there. 350, 375,000, depending on who can make their way into the infield during the race. Because we went, Davey, And, it's a golf course on the infield, and there was still room in that place to walk around during the race. I mean, we left it because we were sitting on the viewing mound off of turn 2, which was actually crazy because my dad and I, right before that Ray Hall wreck, my dad he was like, "Oh yeah, you never want to see wrecks, but like the fact that we didn't see a wreck where we were sitting when we went, that was crazy." And then Ray Hall loses that tire, and Connor Daly hits the tire, and I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh my god, that landed right where we were sitting when we went." We would have been dead. But it's so that event it's more than a race. Daytona 500, yeah, it's a great race. It's the one you want to win if you can win one in stock car racing. Monaco, it's got a great atmosphere. It's the race you want to win, but the racing, a lot of times it comes down to more, okay, where do I start, and how well does my crew do? Indianapolis 500 has strategy. Where you start really matters. There's an emphasis on qualifying, but there's also the ability to make your way from the back to the front. Scott Dixon still finished top 10 after having that setback on that first pit cycle.
Yeah.
Like, that is amazing. Yeah, he started with track position, but he lost it all. He was a lap down. So,
and to your point, that there's a reason they call it the month of May, right? Everything matters. Every piece of track time matters.
even when it's on the road course.
Even when it's on the course.
But,
Same thing.
And that's this event. If you have never been, you have to go. Even if you're not a racing fan. Like, this is the one. If if this was before I went, when I was maybe a little more naive to a lot of the stuff surrounding it, because, I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. Not really, oh, I like NASCAR, so Daytona 500 is the biggest race of the year. If you're naive to those things, you have to go as a race fan. If you're not a race fan, I mean, there's something for you. You have the snake pit, usually.
Yeah.
The infield the entire time is a concert in the infield during the race. Like, that's freaking bonkers. And it's just such a cool. I mean, we were all the way on the back straightaway when we went, and it was like, you can't see the drivers going up and over introductions, and you can't see, you barely see them parading around in the back of those pickup trucks. You see the cars once every 30 seconds, but it's such a cool, even being there for like that. It was an event you have to go to, no matter how you have to go. Whether you're sitting inside the pagoda or you're down in the slums on the viewing mounds on the back straightaway, you have to go. It's an event you have to go to. So that was part of what I really wanted to talk about last week, was why this event was so special. But for the guy that won it, Helio Castroneves, I know.
What a moment.
Just let's talk about that moment, because
I mean, you said it yourself, right? It's romantic, and that was how the end of that race felt. The end of the race felt like it was romantic. It was visceral. It was happening, and you had to drink it in because that's all you could do. It was just such an enveloping moment as a fan. If you know anything about IndyCar, the Indy 500, even a little bit, and then even if you don't, watching the celebration at the end, the way it was played, the way it played out, the way he just, I mean, really, we talk about classic moments. I mean, every member of every crew, that kind of thing. It really had that kind of vibe to it, where it was just every single person was coming up to Helio and making it known, like appreciating what he just did. Oh man, I'm happy for Shank. I'm mainly happy for Shank. I really love Michael Shank, but I did not expect to be so enthralled by Helio win.
And those last 12 laps, like, that's where I really put it on. Those last 12 laps, I'm sitting there and I'm watching him in second, and I've been a Penske guy, so I've been an Helio guy, right? Because for as long as I can remember, he was always driving for Penske up until last year, and then obviously the Penske Acura team went away at the end of last year's IMSA season, so he was kind of left without a home. And you can't help but root for the guy because he's just got an infectious personality, like a lot of those guys in IndyCar have, and I don't think they get enough credit for, compared to some other racing drivers, whether it be F1, NASCAR, whatever it may be. I think IndyCar is the best. not marketed, right? They're not marketed right. But just those last 12 laps, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat, and I'm like, okay, Helio, don't pass him, don't pass him, don't pass him, don't pass him, because that Pillow and that 10 car was he had that race. He had the better car. You can't tell me he didn't. But what it came down to and what they made a real big point of during the broadcast was veteran versus young guy, veteran versus young guy. And you had two young guys up there at the end, you had two veterans. The veterans took it home. When he passed him with 2 to go, I was like, oh my god, he lost it. Why'd he pass him right there, you know? Because we saw so many guys able to pull that slipstream very, very well down the front straightaway, especially the 10 of Pillow. Everyone was talking about Dixon coming into this race. I think by halfway you had to realize that 10 car was probably going to be the one that was going to had a good chance if those ECR cars couldn't. Because they obviously their strategy fell apart. But just like you said, they did such a, and this is where people have been commending NBC and have been like, well, why don't they do this more often with other motorsports? Well, because they can't, first off. Because other races don't matter this much. Other races, you don't see this much emotion out of these drivers. There's a reason the camera was there on the front straightaway, because if he didn't show that emotion and was like, oh, it's just a fourth Indy 500, which, again, that's another thing. That's the 4th time this guy has won this race. And he still looks like a kid in a candy store. 4th time. You know, most drivers aren't lucky enough to win it once. And if they do, they show 75-50% of that amount of emotion, you know?
But there are drivers who aren't lucky enough to ever make the field, let alone get a chance to win it. I mean, that again, it's so special. It's so important. Everyone who shows up to that race, they don't even realize it sometimes. Like, I remember hearing Rossi talk about it. He didn't realize it. And I think it's like, I think he even his biggest regret that he didn't get to realize it and soak it in the way that he would now, you know? But yeah, no, you're doing great. You continue.
It was just, you know, seeing the emotion, seeing him climb out of the race car, and, you know, he climbs up on the fence, you know, as he traditionally does, and running down the front straightaway, waving at the fans. You can hear the fans. Like, that was emotional, just being able to hear the fans cheering as loud as they were. Even throughout the race, which people were saying, oh, NBC pumped in crowd noise. I don't think they did. Just
There's even the videos of when Daly got the lead.
Yeah.
Oh, I love. There are a lot of fan videos of that, and it's so insane. It must feel like incredible to be Connor Daly watching those videos.
It's just this race, you know, when people say it means more about things, a lot of times it's kind of used as a cliche. This race means, and from the start to the finish, to 30 minutes after the race finished, that was a believable statement. Sometimes you talk these races and it's not a believable statement. You know what I mean? You get to the end of it and you're like, ugh, did this race really matter? Talk about a race that, you know, people say matters and feels like it didn't. Hey, shots fired. Bam. But it's just, it's crazy. It's just, you're seeing him run down the front straightaway, and they're trying to wrangle him in to get down up onto the lift to get up into victory lane, and seeing all of that was just so it was joy at its purest form. Uninterrupted, you could see everyone was so like it's. I know I'm going on tangents here, but it was so cool, and that is the first time in a long time I've sat there an hour after the race and kept watching post-race coverage for any event.
Yeah.
Willingly, you know, not like
you couldn't take your eyes off it. I mean, it's just you wanted to know. I mean, it willed you to watch more. It willed you to see more and feel, try and like get even just a sip of the emotion that was being displayed in front of you. It was, I mean, you cannot say that about any other race, in my opinion. Just can't.
And for Helio, it was redemption too, right? Got booted out of his Penske. His Indy car got told, okay, you're going to be part-time, you're going to run the GP, and you're going to run the 500. That's all we can run for you, because we don't have seats for you. And I think it was Paul Tracy who was trying to like insinuate the fact that him having to go run sports cars was a downgrade, and that's a whole different argument about how PT is. But it was just, it is redemption, right? Because to be told at 44, 45, however old he was when he stopped with the full-time IndyCar stuff, hey, we don't think you got it. We want to put this other guy in it. You know, we don't think, and then to come back and win the biggest race.
Yeah.
With again a team that now has won its first race, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's something special. There's just something special, and there'll always be something special every year without that. But it meant more. It meant more. And again, it's so cliche to say, but it for Helio, and you could see for the team, that was the culmination, right? You know, as a race team, you don't know if you're gonna keep going up or if you're gonna drop. But if you're not gonna keep going up and you're gonna drop, and this is it, you're at least happy that this was the one that was it. Can you now? I wrote this in there, and it's probably a no duh question, but you can now put Helio on the like Mount Rushmore if he wasn't already for people. You can now put him on the Mount Rushmore of IndyCar open wheel American racing, right?
Sorry, excuse me. You could have done that at 3 Indy 500
Right.
wins, honestly.
And I think that's so important. I think too, though, just the legacy to get that fourth and to tie it, and he's going to have an opportunity to break it.
Yeah, that is insane. That's insane. I don't think people realize how big a deal that is. I mean, God, this race has been happening for over 100 years, and we have it's 4 people, it's 4 drivers now, right? A 4-driver spread of drivers who have won it 4 times. It's not a lot of times, guys. I don't know if you understand that. That's not a lot.
Considering the race has been around 100 years, and there's no one even close. You know, Sato has the 2, but he's older, right? So you got to wonder how many more attempts he has at it to try to get to 4 and try to break that 4. Although, you know, having 2 in the last 5 is probably pretty good. But there's no one outside of Sato that has multiple except Montoya, and he's not full time, and we don't even know if he'd be coming back next year.
Yeah.
So that's the man. Oh man, it's so special. That race is so special, and guys, if you ever get the opportunity to go. Like you have to go. This is the one. This is the only one. If you're only gonna see one race in your life, live in person, scratch that. If you're ever gonna just watch one race on TV for an entire year or your entire life, that's the one to watch. Because I was on the edge of my seat for all 2.5 hours or however short it was. Because it was the shortest time wise Indianapolis 500 because we only had the 2 cautions.
Yeah.
So
flew by.
It was such a good race. Hey, look at that. You can have good racing without a bunch of passing. I know I'm shooting shots off of a lot of cliches that are being talked about, and I've been throwing that cliche word around a lot. But moving on from a race that thrilled and was the spectacle that it cracked up to be to a race that
Build.
Now, I know you didn't stay in Charlotte for it, and I would still criticize you for that even after watching this race. Because I still think it's one of those, it's Coca-Cola 600, World 600, it's still a crown jewel event in racing. It's still one of the big ones, right? It's the longest race. Kyle Larson dominates, led 300 and something laps of a 400 lap event, you know, up there with the Truex and Kyle Busch performances, which Kyle Busch's performance 2018 doesn't get talked about enough about how dominant he was in that one.
Largely unnoticed, yeah. No one ever talks about that one.
But we talk about Truex because I think he led like over like 90%, 92% or something of the race. Because that one, you know, was more how we are. But Kyle Larson dominates, wins the World 600. I think this race, all it does is to serve to prove that Hendrick is back once again. They got their mile and a half stuff together. They obviously got their 750 stuff together.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, this is the last year with this car, so it might be too little, too late because you never know what next year may bring. I also think Chevrolet as a whole was a lot faster. Reddick was up there. Austin Dillon was up there. Eric Jones was really fast in practice on Friday, which shout out Richard Petty Motorsports for still getting a 16th place finish for Jones, even though I think he had a loose wheel late in that one. So
Yeah.
still got a 16th place finish because they were so quick. But yeah, Chevrolet, Trackhouse has been really good this year too. I think this race proved two things. Chevrolet's got their stuff together. And Hendrick Motorsports is the team to beat, no matter who's behind the wheel of the race car. I think Kyle Larson being in that 48 car, definitely helps that team. I think it might give him a little bit of an edge. I don't know, because people have said for years that he, given the right car, given the right opportunity, he'll be just as dominant as the Johnsons, the Gordons, Earnhardts, the Mark Martins, the years that he had. Like he'll be that on that level of dominance. Kyle Busch. So, he's got to continue to figure out how to close these races out, which he and so that,
Yes.
I made a joke that this was going to be a whole extra 100 miles for Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson to choke away a race, and then they didn't, and I was very.
And then they didn't.
Hey, it's the reverse curse. I did it, folks. You can DM me on Twitter at Johto Network, and tell me thank you.
Yeah, listen to the race on the way home on the radio, which was a fun experience.
How many lads in the car?
3.
Yeah.
3 lads in the car on the way home. Not gonna lie, I slept for a chunk of time.
Hey, I did too. I did too the year Truex dominated.
I mean, Coke 600, it was a domination. It was Hendrick, Chevy. It'd be what it be. I don't know. I didn't watch it, so I have nothing to add.
I think, and this is something I don't think people when they talk about how this current rules package is bad and big spoiler bad and low horsepower bad. They're so focused on like gaps and dirty air. I don't think they realize that also this package, that day to night transition, obviously is not that big of a factor in the way these races like it used to be. Like that was the allure of the Coke 600. We're gonna start 5 o'clock. The track's still gonna be really, really hot. We're gonna end 10:30, 11 o'clock, and it's gonna be 20, 30 degrees track temp cooler.
Yeah,
that's a huge swing for a race car, or at least it used to be. And now with the way the current rules are set up, it's not. It doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. Because if you got the clean air, you got the right setup for the daytime. It transitions to the night very well.
Well, that's what it is, right? Like, you can none of the things that you described that changes over the course of the race affects aerodynamic grip, which the cars have a lot of now.
Right.
And there's no weather change other than like sending the cars to space that's going to affect how much aerodynamic grip they have. So naturally, the cars don't change much over the course of a day to night transition.
I would like to see some data about wind speeds during this era with this aero package, and to see how that like races where there's more wind. You know what I'm saying? Maybe days where it's calmer, just to see how that kind of affects how people look at the races and view them. I don't know. It's probably not that big because that's the only thing I can think of that would the wind. Turn on the wind, Davey.
Turn on the wind. Tommy would not be happy.
He would not. Turn it off. Turn it off. But but Coke 600. It was the Coke 600. I thought it was a better race than I expected it to be. If I'm being honest, I thought it was still a good race for what it was. But again, I've been on the whole horn of I think every race this year. The Cup Series has been a lot better. Has been just as good, or if not better, than what I expected it to be. And because I am living in reality where I don't think the races have to be crazy every single week, and I don't think I have to see guys on the edge of control every single week, and I don't, you know what I mean? Like I just live in the reality that we're in, accept it for what it is for this year. There's a new car coming next year. Just shake it off, as the kids say. Davey is slowly falling asleep. This is a wonderful,
No, I'm
wonderful.
not
No,
falling
you're
asleep.
good.
I'm not
You're
falling
good.
asleep. I'm just...
He's gonna brutally scold me after this.
No. My voice is doing the thing that it does, and it's going away. So I'm trying to conserve it best I can.
All right. Well, I don't think you're gonna be able to conserve it through this. How was Charlotte? Charlotte was good.
I don't mind talking about this. I might cough a little bit, so excuse me. But Charlotte was a blast. God, it was so much fun. Friday, showed up around 2:00. Went straight to GoPro Motorplex. Had a little race with the boys. Listen, you got to give it up for the big boys, man. In the go-karts, it is tough out there. If you are a big boy on a go-kart and you are fast and there's no weight rules, you're doing something. Because, man, Will and Jeg both beat me in the race. So like there was like a practice and a qualifying in a race. We practiced. I qualified second behind Will. Really good because Tommy was there, and Jeg is tiny, and Will's brother was there, and he's small too. And then we get in the race, and like through the infield sections, I'm doing fantastic. And then I'm getting to the straightaway, and then Jeg, like Will's brother, flies by me. I think Jeg kind of ended up wrecking Tommy. Jeg was a little bit of a wrecking ball.
No.
Yeah, we had some discussion. We had some discussions about that. There were some heated arguments.
Yeah, it sounds like Tommy.
Post-race. Well, I mean, I was involved too because at one point we were going into. There's no point in even naming the corners, but we were going into a tight hairpin, and Jeg's trying to pass Will's brother for second. Will's right up in front of us, and Jeg, like he did almost every single corner, and anytime he was inside anybody, locks up the rear brakes, gets all squirrely, sends me into the dirt, like just insanity, absolute insanity. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Will and Jeg, they're the two people who finished in front of me. I'm pretty sure their combined weight together is like only 20 pounds more than I weigh by myself. So it was a rough time. I had to fight for it, but we got P3 in the big race on Friday, and then we went to like some truck race or something. But went to the truck race.
Was that fun sitting in the suite?
It was. It was
Okay.
nice. It was nice. Like I wouldn't do that for every single race.
Right. It'd be ridiculously expensive.
But like if the opportunity presented itself and it was as cheap as it was for the truck race, I'm doing it, man. It was kind of nice. It was AC. It was, it wasn't like overtly loud. The food was really good. It was expensive, but it was really good. Yeah, it was nice. It was like, excuse me, sorry. It was really nice. Vamp real quick.
Our coughing break.
He didn't vamp. He didn't vamp. I had to cough quick.
I don't know.
Vamp. It's talk.
Oh, they just said that.
Whatever. Fair enough. So Friday was fun. The truck race was pretty good. God, that Johnny Sauter incident, huh? Good Lord.
I got Steelman posted about how the AMR safety team had your back, and man, I thought that was so funny because I don't know if he meant to do it, but he posted the IndyCar version of the AMR safety team and not the NASCAR one, and I just couldn't help myself. Banger tweet.
Yeah, the boys were cheering on the AMR safety team on Saturday every time they did anything, which was pretty funny.
Y'all were close on Saturday too.
Woo! Yes, we were. It was great. Me and Tommy agreed. We tried to get other people to do it, and they didn't agree. But me and Tommy agreed, and we firmed it for one lap. We on the green flag for a whole lap. We didn't wear ear protection.
Oh yeah, you have to do it that way.
That's what I told them, and they didn't want to do it. I was trying to get Mikey to do it. He's like, "No, I don't want."
Wasn't that Mikey's first race though?
Maybe
in person.
I don't know.
I think it was, or that weekend.
No, because he was at the truck race, but he was in the suite, I guess.
Right.
Too.
Well, the suite, you're way up. If you're wearing ear protection up there, you're there's a word.
Yeah. Anyway, so Saturday was actually the Xfinity race was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed the Xfinity race. Ty Gibbs, what a driver, what a guy.
He's gonna be good.
Ty Gibbs is gonna be just fine. Ty Gibbs is gonna be on.
You can't tell, oh, he's got better equipment than everyone else because he's kicking butt in Xfinity where cars are pretty even.
Yeah, that car's not winning every weekend when he's not in it. God. Saturday night we were gonna go to Hickory. Excuse me. After the Xfinity race that got rained out. So we ended up going back and we had some adult beverages at Will's place and had some fun. That was a good time. That was where some of the Jeg versus everybody arguments were occurring for the big kart
Naturally.
race on Friday. A lot of anger, a lot of contempt. You might see some of those rivalries spill into the United States Online Racing League Cup race on Saturday.
On JTN, as it's shown on the T-shirt that you can now get on the JTN merch store. So go on.
On JTN. And so that was a fun night. Sunday I went home obviously, but like I said, we watched the Indianapolis 500 at Will's place. The rest of the boys that weren't me, Tommy or Weaver, they went to the 600, and yeah, that was my weekend in Charlotte. Charlotte feels like home, man. I love Charlotte so much.
Yeah,
I adore it.
I love the Carolinas. They're just nice. It's a nice climate all throughout the year, right? It's not too hot in the summer, not too cold in the winter.
Beautiful weather, by the way. It was like 70s. It was kind of hot for Saturday during the day for the Xfinity race, but it kind of rained that night. And then after that, it was nice and cool. It was a perfect temperature.
I was gonna say the 600. The weather was really optimal for racing.
Beautiful. I absolutely love Charlotte. I stayed in Noda. I don't know if you know where that is in Charlotte, but it's like 20 minutes. I believe it's like 20 minutes, kind of like northwest-ish of the Speedway, and kind of like a really hipster area of town. A lot of bars, breweries, coffee shops. Nice little downtown area. A lot of young people. It's pretty nice. I wish I got to explore it more, but I just didn't get to this time.
Well, you weren't feeling good either.
I wasn't feeling good either. I want to go to the Roval race, and so I might roll up alone, and obviously I'll spend some time with like some of the Carolina boys that were here this past weekend. Take some time to actually explore some of those areas of Charlotte that I don't get to explore all the time because I really want to. But it was very nice. I actually, obviously we recommend the Indianapolis 500, but I recommend going to Charlotte for a little bit and seeing the shops and experiencing some of what Charlotte has. Charlotte's a cool town. Charlotte's a cool town for like what isn't like a big city, like top tier, super well known for its like coolness being a city, but it's a good city. It was fun.
Yeah, I'd agree with that though, because I mean I've been not during a race weekend, but I've been, and there's a lot to do. Racing fan, obviously. I think that's didn't know that rock because that's where race teams are, but I think it's a good reinforcement. I mean, there is so much to do around there. You got the Hall of Fame too, which is a must see if you haven't been. I know you've been before. So, but the Hall of Fame is awesome. Race shops are great if you have the time to go to them, and hopefully, again, they'll probably be opening up throughout the summer.
Saw Justin Marks at GoPro Motorplex. That was pretty cool.
That does not surprise me at all, because I'm pretty sure he owns part of it too, right?
He is the owner. Yeah,
he's the owner. Yeah.
He might be the head honcho, but yeah, we saw Justin Marks there.
Cool dude.
Just coughed straight into the mic. He's really cool. I didn't actually say anything to him because I didn't have anything to say. He seemed like he was kind of busy, but one of the guys that we were with, Matt Steelman, again, USRL dude. You'll recognize him. He's from the same town that Justin Marks is from, so we ended up being introduced to him, and Justin was really cool. A+, pretty cool experience.
It seemed like everyone had fun, and that was just so like heartwarming to see everyone having fun and meeting each other if they hadn't been for the first time. And when we talk about here on JTN a lot of times about sim racing, kind of build a family in it. I think that kind of we're all younger guys. All our younger guys at USRL, so it works out pretty good for you.
Yeah,
kind of you have those similar interests, similar ideas, and whatnot, and bada bing, bada boom, makes a great weekend. And I'm glad to hear that everyone had some fun. Remember,
that's
USRL back on JTN this Saturday. We got 4 weeks left. Tournament of Champion. This guy right over here, gonna be vying for it. Gonna have a pretty good shot at it. I'd have to guess. And you can go buy his merch, too, so help support him. By support him, I
Yes.
mean support JTN. But
I think that package for the merch actually came today. I'm gonna go.
oh shoot, I
Gonna go
can't wait to see it.
I'm gonna go sneak over to my parents' house and see if they got it.
I am so excited to see how that stuff turned out because I'm always really worried when we offer new products, and this for everyone at home. This is like your little sneak peek at JTN behind the scenes for the week. But when I post new stuff to Teespring, I don't necessarily know how it's gonna turn out, and usually it turns out good. As case in point, Davey's shirt. I mean, that one was a complete, hey, let's see if it sticks, and it stuck. And thanks to all USORL guys for hopping on board for getting one of those, because I know that was where a lot of the sales came from that one. But
A lot of these.
yeah.
Yeah, saw a lot of these.
I wanted you guys to get a picture with, like, everyone that had one to take a picture with it. I thought that would have been cool.
If I would have thought of it, I would have done it.
Well, I didn't ask, so that was
Yeah.
that's a me problem. That's not your fault problem. That's okay.
Whatever.
Do it again. Hopefully. We'll see.
That's the plan.
Hey, USORL, please have us back. We'd really like to come back. Matt, I know you're listening to this because I gave you the RSS feed. Shout out you, Matthew Steelman, driver number 51, Kellogg's Ford Mustang.
Hell yeah.
But so JTM merch, go buy it though because it's really good. I can vouch for a Fake Racers podcast or Speed logo or box logo stuff. Davey's gonna be able to vouch for the Davey Hazard merch. The Mikey Murata merch can vouch for that because that stuff looks sick. Go check it out. Ben Mikey wouldn't let us put his face on it, but we're ranting now. What we really want to sell you is Diecast from our friends at Circle B Diecast. Make sure you use code JTN at checkout for free shipping on your order of $20 or more. You'll receive that free shipping. And Davey and I have both picked out things for this week that you can just use that free shipping for. So Davey, why don't you start?
I selected for this podcast for pre-order. Helio Castroneves' Meyer Shank Racing Auto Nation number 6. His Indianapolis 500 winner at 1/18th scale. Enough said. Just enough said.
I'm going to be getting that for sure. That race just, I don't know. I actually had emotions during one of these races, and whenever I have emotions, like a lot of my race win cars, it's because I have emotional attachment to them because I'm very happy or very sad. No, not actually, because this car that made you sad, that would suck. But for my pick, I'm obviously, as you can see on my wall, big avid 1/64 scale diecast collection, and something that Greenlight always does that's really unique and really special every year for the Indianapolis 500s, do a podium set. So I picked out the 2021 podium top 3 drivers diecast set for this year's Indianapolis 500. You can check that out. There's not a picture up for it yet, but if you go back and you look at the 2020 version, you can kind of see how it looks. They just put the standard version of each driver's car, and it's in a little shadow box, and it looks really cool, and you can display it right in the package. You don't have to take it out of anything. So it's a really cool thing to add to your collection. If you're an IndyCar fan, if you're new, you're old IndyCar fan. It's also a really good deal because the Greenlight cars are usually $8.99, I believe, retail, and you get 3 of them for $25. Or no, actually, that's... Hold on. Oh yeah, it's a pretty good deal there too. You get a couple of dollars knocked off, and you get a third car. So, bada bing, bada boom. But those are our picks. Again, use code JTN at checkout for free shipping on your orders of $20 or more at CircleBDiecast.com or PlanBSales.com. They're also your home for all of your motorsports items you want or need. So, go check them out. T-shirts, hats, more. CircleBDiecast.com, code JTN at checkout. Also, shout out to the boys that have been using that code. We appreciate you. We love you. You're helping support us here on JTN. Keep doing it. Share the videos, too. They're at it. Why not? I'm asking a lot, but here we are. Beggars can't be choosers. All right, Sonoma's this weekend, and we didn't get to talk about the last road course race, and eventually we'll get to talk about racing in the rain once again, I assume. But Sonoma, I'm assuming the forecast, probably no rain. It's California. It doesn't rain in the summertime. So we should be A-OK, good to go. Also, Mid-Ohio's this weekend. There might be rain in that forecast. I don't know. But starting with Mid-Ohio, because it's Xfinity, we don't have to preview it. Davey, if you had to pick somebody, I'm assuming you're going to pick AJ Allmendinger.
That's cheating. I'm gonna do something a little different. I'm gonna go Justin Allgaier.
That's a good pick. Good pick. Yeah, I can see that. I think a guy this isn't my pick, but I think a guy that'll have a really good run is going to be Josh Berry in that 31 for Jordan Anderson, because he has something to prove. That he can do this, and I'm sure he's going to be hitting sims, and he's going to be doing everything in his power to do good, and he's been very good. Again, JRM equipment's probably better than what Anderson has for his new team, but top 20 run for that 31 car would be a great day for Barry, and I'm so happy to see that he got an extra opportunity. He's also going to be in the 25 truck. Timothy Peters and that team, I don't know the team name. They kind of mutually parted ways or something because they hadn't been having good finishes. They both seemed to want to change. Poor Timothy Peters just can't catch a break, but so Barry's also going to get 3 truck races in that one: Texas, Nashville, and then Poconos for the next 3 truck races. But that's your Josh Berry. But my pick, I'm going to keep picking him until he wins, Davey, because he almost got it done this last week at Daniel Hemrick. He'll be good. He's always good. He's just so consistent. Eventually, he's got to win. Got taken out in that wreck, which I didn't see because I was at a party. Bad, Joe. Bad, but you saw it in person, so I'm sure you could vouch for how bad of a wreck that one was. But here we are, sitting on a Monday or Tuesday rather, and I'm picking Daniel Hemrick to win at Mid Ohio because I'm going to keep doing it until he wins. Sonoma Cup. Martin Truex Jr. has won the last 2 races here. On the old new layout, and now on the new old layout. Also, last time we were there, we had the high downforce, low horsepower package, which made road course racing insufferable.
Yep.
But if you had to pick, who would you pick? Chase Elliott's the favorite, betting favorite. First.
Yeah. Oh, Kyle Busch.
He's gonna have. I believe he'll have a good starting position, so that will definitely help him. I still think Truex. I really do. He's just been so good here. He had a win with MWR at Sonoma, and while we're running this carousel layout, 3/4 of the track is the same as it always has been. So I would. I still think Truex. I might throw some money. That's not betting advice, but if Truex isn't the odds-on favorite and Chase is, throw like a penny or two at Truex and see if you can. Especially because he's going to be starting deep.
Xfinity at Mid-Ohio, keep your eye out on Andy Lally. Good sleeper pick.
Yeah, he'll probably end up finishing with the top 5. I think he also posted on Twitter today that this last Xfinity race for the year. So he'll have something to prove to try to get a ride for the last couple of road course races, because he should have a ride because he's Andy Lally and he is good at road course racing. And he also did good. We didn't get to talk about it. He did really good at COTA on the broadcast. The Truck Series
my God,
race.
he did. I didn't really get to listen to it much, but what I heard was very good. Everyone seemed to like him too.
But again, everyone likes to just crap on Fox and their coverage and NBC and their coverage of racing. So I'm sure just because they got something different, that probably helped them saying, hey, he did it. But he did do a good job, because it is very hard to commentate races, and people never give Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons and Adam Alexander and Mike Joy, Jeff Gordon, Clint Boyer, and Vince Welch any credit for what they do. Maybe Mike Joy they give credit to, because I don't know. That's the show, though. We kind of sped through the second half of that one because the Indianapolis 500 deserved most of the time today. But folks, so happy that you decided to tune in with us. Thank you so much for bearing with us. I had a lot of broadcasts last week, so I was running low on voice too. And Davey, obviously, you've heard him. He's still running low on voice. And Davey, I can't thank you enough for toughing it through this one. I'm not going to ask you to tell him all your socials, because I want you to save that voice, that pretty voice of yours. But, so if you want to find out more from Davey, we got links in the description below. You can go to D7H5er on Twitch, at D7H5 on Instagram, and at Davey Hazard on Twitter.
Knocks it out of the park.
Let's go. But again, all those things are going to be linked for Davey down in the description below, so you can go follow them. You can find out more from us here at JTN by following us on Twitter at Johto Network, Facebook at Johto Network, and also check out our JTN merch store, where we got all kinds of great merch options. The new Davey Hazard merch just dropped a couple weeks ago on the last time on the podcast, which that was so cool to see Davey's reaction. I'm glad it seems like people really liked it and enjoyed it. So hopefully, if you haven't already got yourself some, and once Davey posts pictures of it, because I'm really hoping he will, you'll be able to tell for yourself, because you'll follow Davey on Twitter, This is what you'll do. You follow
Hey,
Davey
well.
on Twitter. You'll see the pictures, and you'll be like, hey, where'd he get that from? Oh, yeah, the JTN merch store, because I'm a JTN fan. And then you'll go on over to the JTN merch store and buy some JTN merch. We also got our fetching replay design. I uploaded that last week. So with Bristol behind the JTN camera. So that was a requested item. So we said, okay, if you want it, we'll make it. And bada bing, bada boom, it's up for you to go purchase now on the JTN merch store. But folks, that's all from us. Remember, big list of links. Check them all out in the description below. Can't thank you guys enough for watching, listening, wherever you may be. If you're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, if we're back on there, because for some reason we're not. I gotta iron that out, but who has the time? For all of us here at JTN, thank you so much for watching and listening this week. He's been Davey Hazard. I've been Joe Twansky. Thank you so much, and we will see you guys next time on the Fake Racers Podcast.
Thanks for bearing with me. I tried.